Hello and welcome to our session on Lean tools. In this session, I will walk you through and give you a quick example on the 17 tools and techniques most associated with the Lean methodology, starting from the 5S, workplace organization, all the way to teamwork. But before we start, let's remind ourselves what the Lean approach is. The Lean approach is based on the just-in-time Toyota production system, TPS. A lean operation is one in which a better product is developed or a better service is delivered using less of everything required: less people, less money, less technology, and less physical resources. So we're talking about making a product or a service that is more efficient every time. Lean is about being flexible enough to get the right things to the right place at the right time in the right amount. And as you can imagine, this is very difficult to do at the beginning, but slowly, as more projects for continual improvement happen in an organization, the organization is better able to give a process or a service that has improved over time and to be the most efficient possible. Lean is focused on the elimination of all sorts of waste and the continual improvement of the product and processes. Our first tool that we see is the 5S workplace organization, and this is used to ensure a neat, clean, and orderly workplace. Now, the 5S stands for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. And basically, with these 5 steps, organizations can organize can organize the place of work in which things that have been maybe a little messy, things that have not been organized properly, things that they may be thinking or maybe taken for granted, can be organized in which only the items that they need are properly organized in areas that are properly labeled. You see on the floor is also labeled. And so only the things that they need are kept. And so first, as you can see here, this pile of stuff they had before, they did not know what it was here, right? The people working here may not have an idea of what it is. Things are not being used. If anybody wants to get something, for example, that is in the back, maybe they can get hurt, right? So by getting rid of this in a properly organized way, then the organization is able to utilize the things that they need, and what they don't need, they get rid of. Our second tool is the visual workplace system, and this is just to promote ease of communication between employees and management. And this is an example I have here from one of our retail stores. And as you see here, they have this is the cashier area, and then they have a little poster here saying cashier's 4 golden rules, and you see it here and you see it here. So basically every cashier in this one store has like a reminder for the cashiers on how to treat the customer. Okay, so this is an example of visual workplace system. It's basically any kind of posters that they may have in order to remind employees about things, or new communications, new announcements. Maybe some organizations have like a TV in the lunchroom, and where they put the news of the organization. Any kind of visual items in which the organization is communicating with employees is a tool that will allow for an ease of communication with employee. Another tool is a layout. The way the organization is organized as a layout is a tool of Lean. And basically, if you're using the layout in order to minimize and reduce any kind of motion or transportation waste, then that's a way for you to reduce this waste and then be more efficient. And the way you get more efficient is with a layout that is properly planned. Then you are getting your inputs to the processes as quick and as close as possible. One really good example is Subway. And Subway, when you go and get a sub, right? You start in this one particular picture, you start here asking for a particular kind of bread, and then from the bread, the person asks what kind of meat or cheese you may want, and if they need to heat it up, they flip around, they turn around, and here's the microwave for it. Here's where they're making the bread. Then from, a couple of minutes later, then they go into the veggies, then they go into the sauces, and then you pay for it. If you want any Cokes or any kind of sodas, the person in here flips around and the soda machine is right behind them. So in a matter of 2-3 meters, you've gone from ordering a sandwich to paying for it. So it's very quick. All the different process steps are next to each other. The person working for Subway is able to get all the different raw materials very quickly in order to serve you the most efficient way. So layout, if you plan properly, layout is a very strong tool of Lean in which things are done quicker. You don't have to move as much. And so you're more efficient in providing the product or the service to the customer. Another technique of Lean is the standardization of work. Okay, and standardized work is used to prevent the introduction of human and processes errors. For example, here at Subway, right? It doesn't matter which Subway you go, the process is the same. You know that you first have to order your breads, then your meats and your cheeses, then your veggies, and then you pay, right? Every Subway the layout is the same and the processes are the same. So that is a work that has been standardized. Okay, everybody knows what to expect. Anybody working in a Subway and any customer work that is going to Subway knows what the steps are, and it's standardized. In that, that way the steps are the same, so there's a reduction of any kind of human error. Okay, so any work that is standardized, what everybody in the organization does it the same way, then that way to do it has been already figured out to be the most efficient way to do it, and therefore everybody knows how to do the right way all the time, every time. Now, if an organization has been ISO certified, that's a way to tell the customer that the organization has been standardized. A company that is ISO certified has already proven that all the processes are standardized and that everybody works in that organization has been certified or trained to that standard. Another technique here is the cellular and flow, or also known as level flow. This is used to ensure steady and consistent flow of work to prevent time waste. In this one picture here, we have 5 people that are working next to each other. So this person here working in whatever it is they're making, this person, assuming it goes from in this direction, this person does one step in the process. Once that person finishes, he gives that one piece he was working on to the next person. That person then does the next step. Then he gives it to the next person. You have the 3rd step here. Right there is the 4th step, the 5th step, and then the item is finished. Once the item is finished and they have all of this finished, then the item is good to ship to the customer. So the cellular level and flow or level flow makes sure that the item is quickly done. All the steps are next to each other, which is, if you think about it, it's a different way of doing a layout, right? The layout technique. Everything is next to each other. Every step is next to each other. And the customer can get a product quicker. Another tool is the batch size reduction. Now, what does the word batch mean? Batch is like a group. For example, you might be cooking a batch of cookies, right? You have an amount of dough, and from there you make, let's say, 20 cookies. And then those 20 cookies you put in the oven and they cook at the same time. So if you have batch size reduction, what this means is that you're reducing the group of the number of the group that you can make of items at the time. If you're doing batch size reduction, then you're ensuring that the work flows smoothly and continuously rather than bunching up at any given workstation. For example, we go back to the one picture above. If you're doing one item at a time, right, then each of these 5 people are not waiting for the person before to finish. Because as soon as they finish the one, everybody's busy doing the one item at a time. In this one picture here, we see the batching process. You have step 1 with so many items that they're doing, and then you have the next step and the next step. Yes, and there's once you finish a group of them, you keep them here. Once you finish a group, you finish here. So what happens is process C is waiting for process A and B to finish in order for process C to start. Now, if you have all of this process together, right, as soon as the process 1 finishes one item, then it goes to B and it goes to C. And all of the processes are busy at this, continuously, which is the same idea as the one picture before with the cellular flow and label flow. You have all the process steps engage continuously instead of waiting for one process to finish a group of items before it goes to the next. So you're assuming, you are making things to be running continuously rather than in groups. Our next tool is quick changeover or reduce setup time. This tool is used to achieve process conversions as rapidly as possible in order to eliminate time waste. If you've seen any kind of formula race shows before or programs before, you may have noticed when they go and change the tires. When they go and change the tires, they go in and they're in the pit, in the pit stop for a couple of seconds. So what happens is, as you can see here in the picture, you have this group of people here are dealing with one tire. This group of people are dealing with one tire. This group of people are dealing with the other tire. And these people are dealing with this tire. This person here, I know it's all in red, you cannot see it properly, but this person here has a different task altogether, right? And then you have another person here dealing with the stop and go of the car. And yet there's another person here doing something else. So all of these people are working continuously as a team in order to reduce the amount of time the formula car is at the pit stop. Okay, so when you're doing quick changeover, right? Think about, for example, in your grocery store or any kind of store that has a cashier, right? When they're changing the shifts of the cashiers, normally you will see one cashier come in with a drawer full of money, right? So one cashier goes in, the other one takes the drawer out and goes out so that the customer is not waiting for the changeover. So when you have a quick changeover or reduced setup time, then you're reducing any kind of waiting time waste. And you're not wasting any time. Either the machine is quickly changing over and getting to work right away, or the customer is not waiting for things to change over. And again, you're reducing the amount of time that you're waiting. Or if you're a Formula One race car driver, you're not waiting for things to happen in the car. Quickly go, because obviously if you're in a race, you're only going to win that race by driving. So you cannot be waiting here for a long time, right? So you try to reduce this amount of waiting time as much as possible. And a quick changeover is one of the lean tools that will help to reduce any kind of waiting time. Poka-yoke. Poka-yoke is used to error-proof a process as much as possible. In here, we're seeing this one worker that needs to plug in a machine. But the machine with the plug-in itself, you can only use one of the plugs, okay? And so this is a way to poka-yoke the process to get the right current. So poka-yoke means that you're trying to make sure that trying to prevent any kind of human errors again, and kind of baby-proof the process so that the process can only happen one way. Okay, for example, in this one electrical plug, it can only be used for this one. Besides being the holes being for a particular plug, it's also color coordinated. Okay. Now, for example, another example, if you go to the gas station and you're trying to use, a particular kind of petrol or gas, yes, if you want to put, if you by mistake go into the diesel pump, for example, when you should be using normal gas, then the hose of the diesel will not fit into your car. That's a way of poka-yoke. You try to put the hose into the car, it will not fit. So because only the cars that are using diesel can pump diesel into the car. That's another way to make sure that we're trying to prevent any kind of human errors, kind of like baby-proof the process to make sure it only happens one way. That's called poka-yoke. Another technique or tool is a self-inspection, basically the checklist, to make sure the employees are checking their own work rather than passing down any kind of errors. So checklist, self-inspection, make sure that the person knows all of these items have to be done before they give the work to the next process in the system. Automation or Jidoka. This is used to build automatic alarms or process notifications into the system so that when a problem arises, a human is being notified to solve the problem. Very, very important. And here we have an example on the evolution of Jidoka. Here you have a person feeding the machine, and as the person is feeding the machine, they can visually see each item and then filter. If one of those items is not good, then the person can get rid of the item. In the next step here, you're seeing that the machine is being fed by itself. The human is not feeding it, but the human is here checking the item and visually checking if any of these items are not right, then the human can get rid of the item. In this, there's no human. The machine is feeding itself, and then there is an alarm. If any of these items are defective for any reason, then the machine stops and gives an alarm. Then the human can come, okay, and get rid of the item. So this is Jidoka. When you have an alarm system that then lets the human know that the intervention is needed. So when you have, for example, here you needed one person for each machine, here you needed one person for each machine, but here you can have one, and the alarm system on the last one, you can have one person for 5 machines, for example. So you need less people per machine. So you're more efficient, okay? And you only call the person when it's needed. Think about it, for example, when you're driving and the door might be, one of the doors in the car might be open. You get an alarm, right? In the car, the light is on to let the human know, hey, one of the doors is open. Or when you're running low on gas, and again, the machine pops an alarm telling you, hey, you're about to run out of gas. So again, you have to go to the gas station. You need to start getting prepared before you run out of gas. Okay, so all of those are examples of Jidoka or automation. It's an alarm system to notify that there's a problem that needs to be solved. Another technique is the pull system or Kanban. This is a visual method or sign that lets one step in the process know that the next process is ready for its output. This sign is the pool sign that asks for the output. Okay, and in this one picture we see that we have, when this one crane or box is empty, this person here is putting the empty card, and that's how this person knows to exchange the cards, to put another full card into the empty one. Okay, so this person here is pulling the next card full of items. Okay, another example is for if you go to a restaurant, right, and they take your order, that order will go to the kitchen, and so the cook, the chef, will know what is needed. And when that order is ready for you, then the chef puts a sign for the waiter to know to come. You know, whether the sign is an electronic sign or a bell, so that the waiter knows to come back into the kitchen and pick it up. So each process is letting each other know that they're ready for the order. And you know, the waiter told the chef that they needed an order by giving the order into the kitchen, and then the chef told the waiter that the order was ready to be picked up by, again, either the signal on the bell or some sort of electronic signal to the waiter to come and pick up the order. So they're each other pulling the order so that the customer then is serviced. Another technique here is the point of use of storage, POUS. And this is used to ensure that the tools and parts needed are near the stations where the people are working, and they're available, so that we minimize any kind of movement or transportation waste. For example, in this one picture, you have the machine here, and you have the tools that are needed next to the machine. And if you see here, each tool has a sign next to it. Okay, so this is also a combination of point of use of storage and 5S. Only the tools that are needed are next to the machine, and every tool has a location with its own little label. Okay, so what is needed is next to the machine. Only what is needed and is properly organized. So if whatever you needed is next to you, then you will reduce any kind of movement and transportation waste. Just in time, JIT, or synchronized technique. This tool is used to ensure that the items are delivered to the step of the process just in time to be used. What you need, you have what you need, where you need it, the right amount that you need it, in the quality that you need it. Okay, so things that are key to the process are given at the right time, in the right quality, in the right quantity, in the right place. Another tool is Total Productive Maintenance, TPM. And this ensures that equipment and parts are in good condition and ready to be used when called. Okay, so any kind of machines that you have, they need to be maintained as per the schedule, so that whenever you're going to use the machine is ready to go. Okay, so think about if you're driving a car, any kind of car has its maintenance technique. So you have here that, for example, the tires need to be checked, and a lot of cars also have Jidoka into it. If you have your tires that are low in the pressure, an alarm with sound, or not sound, but a light may come up, so that you have to then put air into the tires, so that when you're ready to use your car, the tires are at the right pressure. Also, the oils in the car need to be checked every so often. And again, there's a combination now in the cars with a TPM and Jidoka. If a lot of cars, the newer models, if you need to check the oil and it needs to be checked for brakes, they will give you an alarm, a Jidoka, in which you have to take the car into the shop, so that then they do maintenance on it, instead of waiting for you to, for example, have brakes fail or run out of oil or have low flat tires. You prevent any of these problems by taking your car to the shop at the right maintenance schedule. You prevent. Don't wait for the machine to break to take it to the shop. You're preventing. Okay. And if you're preventing, then any kind of product that you're making in the machine should be without defect because your machine is working properly. Another technique is a value stream mapping, and this is a process to identify a group of tasks for continual improvement. So basically here you have a flow chart, but this is a flow chart in which you are determining, this is a flow chart that has a lot of details, especially times, right? Every step that you have and how long it takes. So you're trying to figure out where are your steps that you can improve, for example, in here. If from this step to this step, you have 1 week in between, then how can you reduce this time? So value stream mapping is trying to identify areas for continual improvement. Where can you see areas that are weak, you can make quicker, or maybe some raw materials that are delaying the process? How can you make sure that every step you have are as efficient as possible? Change management. This is used to minimize human resistance to change. This is extremely needed in organizations because part of lean is getting rid of any kind of waste. And by getting rid of any waste, you're changing the process all the time. And if you're changing the process all the time to be most efficient possible, people working in the process have to be mentally prepared for changes. So people need to be trained for the change. So change management trainings, techniques are used so that your employees can adapt to the changes as quick as possible to be the most efficient all the time. And the last one here is teamwork. If you've ever worked in a team, you know that working in teams takes, it's not as efficient every time. You have to, people have to be mentally ready to work in teams. The better teamwork is working in the organization, the better the result of lean will be. So working in teams, having the best teamwork possible will make lean the best possible. And again, not work, if you work on a team for the first time ever, then it's not going to be as efficient as if after, working 6 months in teams or a year. This also, the more mature the teams, the better the work will be. So working as teams also requires to be trained to be working teams. And once you work as a team, things will be done best because everybody will do the work, a section of the work, and that section of the work will be done the best possible. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you find this session worth the time. And I hope that the 17 tools for lean help the organization become more efficient and get rid of all the waste so that you have the right amount of process done and the right product and the right material and the right techniques, the right technology, and the right amount of people to do the most efficient work possible for the organization. Thank you.